We'll call our meeting to order. It's the Monday, January the 13th, 2025, regular board meeting here to Central Office. And at this time, we would stand for the pledge, and Mr. Evans is going to lead us in the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, the introduction of our members is Mr. Rippeth, Larkin Rippeth, Margaret Beavers, Ed Evans, I'm Georgia West, and Ms. Robinette is absent tonight, and our secretary tonight is Dr. Barker. First item on the agenda is approval of the December 16, 2024 regular session. Motion by Ms. Beaver, second by Mr. Rippeth. Do we have any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. No. Abstention. Next we have delegations and speakers. Do we have any? We have none. Okay, the next item on the agenda is discussion items, board members' reports and presentations. The first one is LSIC presentation, Yeager Elementary School. Do they need a video or anything?
Thank you.
Oh, sweet.
Well, good morning, everyone.
Good evening.
Oh, yeah. Feels like the morning still with the delay. It was 80s day at Yeager Elementary, so it's just been a busy day. So, do you guys still have the clicker? No. Okay. I'm Amanda Roberts. I am the principal at Yeager Elementary, and I have with me, I want to introduce you to my LSIC chair, which is Amanda Wilkins. And we also have our leadership team, and I'll introduce you to them. Amanda's our first grade teacher. Eric Hamilton and Penny Fuller are special education teachers. We have Mr. Michael Picklesheimer. He is our resource teacher. Heather Hanoski is our CIS facilitator. We have Jan Stansberry, and she is our Title I facilitator. And Stephanie Carball is our kindergarten teacher. So we need a bigger room here for all of us. So I'm going to turn this over to Amanda.
Hello. All right, so Yeager hosted its its LSIC stakeholders meeting on Tuesday, November 12th, 2024. The invitations were posted online via social media, banned. They were sent home by students, and personal phone calls were made to families to encourage attendance. Student incentives were offered to boost attendance by families. We had 18 adults and 22 students attend the event. A PowerPoint was used to provide an overview of Yeager's data. And Yeager Elementary School families and students were asked for input in the areas of attendance, student achievement, and culture and climate. All right, and here are some photos from the stakeholder meeting that we had. As you can see, we have like the round table talk in the gym, and then of course all of our kiddos and families. All right, so we had the family feedback with academics. The students love the math small groups, more feedback, more use of math manipulatives in the class, less use of technology, and families asked for some sort of math tutoring sessions so they could be equipped to help their children at home. With attendance, families and students both love the monthly incentives that we have. Students gave fun ideas for monthly incentives and Surprise Fridays, which I think we've already used like 1 or 2 of their suggestions. Culture and climate feedback, families shared that they always felt welcome at Jaeger. The students love the dress-up days, and the families appreciate the student handbook and our consistency. Next, we're going to share a video that we shared with our families at the LSIC meeting that shows just, a recap of where we are and where we're hoping to go with it.
Our students are making strides, developing skills they'll use for a lifetime. Our second goal is math progress. We want students to become problem solvers and confident in their math skills. Teachers use creative, hands-on strategies to make math both challenging and fun. Through interactive lessons, our students are building a strong foundation in math, gaining the skills they need to tackle any challenge. Creating a positive school culture and climate is another one of our core goals. At Jaeger, kindness, respect, and support are woven into every interaction. We are a community that celebrates each other's success. Our Door program teaches students to be respectful, orderly, accountable, and responsible followers that help them strive now. Attendance matters. When students are here, they have the chance to learn and grow. That's why we prioritize attendance incentives that encourage students to show up each day. With fun rewards and a welcome environment, we make every day one to look forward to, because every day in school counts. At Jaeger Elementary, we're proud of our Wildcats and the progress we are making toward our goals. Together with our families, community, and staff, we're setting the foundation for a brighter future. Thank you for joining us as we do our best in business.
So that's just a little recap of what we shared with our families. And I know last year I stood here and I got to share the data about the year before, and I said I really am excited to share at this point and kind of just show our growth, because I knew that we were heading that way. So I am excited to share that with you tonight. I know that Dr. Barker had shared our accountability scorecard before, so you could see that we had met our target. We are not in our does not meet standards anymore. We are in partially meet standards for both reading and math academics. And in our academic progress, you can see we've even went to the meet standards in our ELA. We were really proud that we were actually out of the 339 schools, we were in I think we were 76th in that progress, so we were really proud of that. So kind of taking that a step further, last year we had a lot of concerns. We have more celebrations than concerns, so we're really proud of that. That just kind of shares some subgroup data. Our students we're very proud that our students with disabilities in mathematics were able to also meet target, and we still are working on that, all of our subgroups for ELA to do that. They did not meet that in ELA at this point. And then our attendance, as you can see, I know that's a problem that we are continually working on to improve. And so kind of going deeper in that, we wanted to kind of share what that data looked like for our school specifically. So over here we have our academic performance, our overall achievement, and then we have our progress that measures the tracking of each kid that we have. And so as you can see, we met our target this year. The white shows where we are this past year in the spring of 24. And we had over a 5% increase, almost 6% in ELA, and our progress was over 5% as well. When you look at the math, we're super proud of that. Our mathematics, focusing on standards, we had over 12% growth in that, and then over 14% in our ELA progress. For our student discipline, it was our only area that we went down in. However, we really focused on consistency. It was our first year to implement our handbook, and you'll see later where that is at this point in the year, but last year, where that data was very consistent, it did show a decrease, but we were still under meet standard. chronic absenteeism. We want that number to go down, and we were really proud of our 17% decrease in chronic absenteeism, because we know we can't teach them unless they're there. So now Mr. P is going to share our goals with you.
We have 4 goals. They are reading achievement, culture, and, math achievement, culture and climate, and attendance. These goals are constantly changing. We're constantly inputting data into them. We hope to increase each of these goals by 3% and decrease our chronic absence by 3%.
All right, Ms. Stansbury is going to share we're going to dig deeper into each of those goals and show you what we currently have, and then what we're doing to make strides to improve them. So Ms. Stansbury is going to share our most recent math achievement data.
Here you will see our, the bottom line is our diagnostic 1 for iReady, and the top is our diagnostic 2. And with our diagnostic 2, we have a 25% increase, or 25% of the kids are in the at or above standards, which is a 15% increase from the diagnostic 1. And then with the 1 grade level below, we had went down 5% with those kids. And then in our 2 or 3 or more grade level below kids, we had a decrease of 9% to 22% of those kids in that for the middle of the year. And here you'll see where they started. The ones that were on grade level, we had less in the yellow. Well, on the second one, we have more in the with the blue, so we have more kids on grade level than we did at the start. And then on the 1 grade level below, we decreased those kids on the second one, as well as the 2 or more grade levels below. We decreased those kids in those areas. And then this is a recap of the 4 main areas that they work on iReady. And we had increases in all of our areas and a decrease in the yellows and the reds. But geometry is like one of our weakest areas, but that is one area that we haven't actually been in our textbook yet. So we still have room for improvement, even though we have shown improvement in that. And, you know, with the kids working on their pathways, I think that helps a lot in them showing improvement now.
And Mr. Hamilton's going to share we're going to dive deeper into our students with disabilities. That was one of the areas that as a CSI school we were identified because our subgroup did not show enough progress. So we've been really trying to look at that data to see where our kids with disabilities are, and are we constantly moving those kids.
So right here we have 206 students at Yeager Elementary. 36 of those are students with IEPs, which puts us at 17.4%. Here you see the yellows are first diagnostic. Then here you have our second diagnostic here, which we've showed growth. Our second diagnostic, we had a student that's on grade level. But as you can see, we're showing growth by incorporating grade level content.
All right, so we haven't done our middle of the year iReady diagnostic. They're getting ready to start that tomorrow. But at the beginning of the year, we had 33% that were on or above grade level, 47% that were 1 grade level behind, and 30% that were 2 or more grade levels below. And then here, this is the different domains that they work on during the year. We had less kids that have to work on phonological awareness and the phonics and high frequency words. But as you can see, the vocabulary and the comprehension is the places that we want to increase. And this is something I think as a county that we are striving to figure out what can we do to increase that, because that is the weak link that we have, you know, as far as increasing our overall test scores for the end of the year. But now we did finish our phonics screeners for everybody, and this was including the new kids that we had enrolled right before Christmas. And as you see, the yellow is the beginning of the year, and the blue is the middle of the year. And you start off with letters and sounds, and then you go all the way to multisyllabic, and then the very end is all past. And we had about 30 kids at the beginning of the year that were at letters, and they're down to like 21 kids still needing to learn their letters. But as you get to the end, we have 60. We started off with 69 that had passed all of their phonics screener. Now we have 84, and of those 84, one of those is one of our special ed kids.
While he's fixing that, is this special ed children or all?
The top is everybody including special ed. The ones on the bottom that said SPED, that is just the SPED numbers.
Okay.
Yeah, but they are included in the top numbers.
Okay.
So, but like I said, I wanted you all to see, because, we were kind of focusing on how the SPED kids are showing improvement too. If I left it the original way, which is beginning and middle of the year, you wouldn't be able to see which one of those kids were SPED kids and, how much they had improved too. So I went ahead and added that second line so you could kind of see where they started and where they're, coming out from too. So they're making their gains. Corrective reading and reading mastery, it has really helped a lot.
At the end of each school year, our exceptional learner students are administered a placement test to see which reading program that they would benefit for the next school term, whether that would be reading mastery, corrective reading A, or corrective reading B. If you look at the first bar, we had 11 students to stay the same, and 7 of those 11 students are chronically absent. We had 7 students to advance 1 placement, 6 students that jumped 2 placements, and 1 student to advance 3 placements, which is awesome. And our students, we have 5 exceptional learner students that are monitored, and we are very proud of the progress that our exceptional learners are making.
So what are we doing to increase this? What have we done, and what are we continuing to do? As a school, we said that 3 of our big things that we felt like if we focus on that, we can make big impact in our achievement would be our standards-based focus, engaging lessons, and then also our assessment. And I have focused my walkthroughs on those 3 things so teachers can have direct feedback on what those are and continually making progress. We have started a monthly instructional meeting where our K2 gets to come together and our 3-5 teachers where they can collaborate and really work on some of these areas. We have embedded math and reading coaches that come through and help teachers where they need it most and based on their needs. We have our staff biweekly does moving kids meetings where they bring their data and we look at kids' data and we really try to move individual kids and then that class. We use SIDME, as I know some of you are familiar. We have a huddle that's for all of our instructional staff, and with that, it started last year where I would ask teachers if I could share that because it was a really great instructional practice, and I'd say, can I share that to our huddle? And now we have teachers actually that are wanting to share what they're doing in the classroom, so just building that library for one another and to depend on each other and developing that culture of that we're continuously learning together. Also, we had 11 teachers in our staff that participated in one-on-one SIDME coaching in the fall, so I was really proud of all of them that had specific goals for them individually. We created our war room, which you can see some pictures of, so that when we are having these conversations about data, it's constantly in front of us and we know where we are focused on, and when we talk about engagement and we talk about assessment at Jaeger, this is what it means. And so we are excited about that. That's where we have all of our staff meetings at this point. As you can see, our iReady data wall back there that we're excited to get to change soon and see some movement. And we have our data chats with students this year we implemented before they take the iReady test. And then we also had a group, we were picked for our State Department with myself and Lindsay Bailey, one of our teachers, to go to Harvard University for a week learn about instructional rounds so that we can continue. It's a way to have continuous improvement. And we're going to start that in March at our school. So we're super excited. The State Department is going to partner with us, and because we know that even though we've made progress, we want to continually grow in that. And then just recently, looking again at those special ed numbers and our students and where their needs are, we really want to make it more, have more inclusion in our classrooms. And so we just had a member of our state, of the West Virginia Board of Education, come and present on inclusive practices. So we're excited to make steps toward that and meeting kids' needs as much as we can. So for our culture and climate.
As Ms. Roberts spoke about before, you can see that last year is our yellow line, and things definitely went up, and you see that on our scorecard. But with the things that we have in place, the white line is this year so far, and things are looking a lot better. We attribute a lot of that to the full implementation of our ROAR program. That's our positive reinforcement. Expectations are clear for kids in every area of the school. We have posters where we can actually use as a reteach if a child, steps past one of those expectations. We talk about it. How are you not roaring? We also have the student handbook, which gives us consistency across the board with every student. Before anything ever happens, they know what's going to happen. After the ROAR expectations and the handbook, we've also moved towards getting more community partners coming in so that we have support throughout the community. The kids have really enjoyed that we've been displaying more of their artwork from Mr. P's class, just giving them more of an ownership of the school or a feeling that they're a part of a community. We spoke about the student handbook. Also a consistency that our parents, it's one of their #1 go-tos, is they love that we have a newsletter from each classroom every week. And it tells them what we're working on. We have that template so everybody is seeing the same thing for each class, but it gets the parents involved. It gives them a little more information about what's going on so they can help at home. I mean, as a parent, I really enjoy it myself too. The parents really enjoy the school-wide monthly calendar. It gives them a heads up of what's coming. We do share at the very beginning of the year, like a yearly thing as well, so they're kind of already ready for some of the stuff. And then the band app has been huge in our communication with families consistently. We only, other than calling or sending a note, we only communicate with parents through the band app, and that's been really nice. And then finally, we have a lot of community partners coming in helping to revamp our library. And I'm not sure how many books we're up to.
Today we're almost at 3,000. All parent club.
So our library will be up to date, and you can actually go in and scan a book and check it out. And so we're really excited about that.
So our first chart that we're going to look on is we went from when we started doing the monthly incentives. So we started that here. We had a little spike in sickness, so it leveled out. End of the year, they don't like to come then. So we're on the right track. September, October, November, December, it's melting out. As of Friday, it was 30.6. Really happy with that. We have a monthly attendance team that we work on the data from that. We meet monthly. We try to pull the 10 needs attention students. We'll try to talk to them, getting them more engaged, why they're not coming, things like that. We talked about the monthly incentives. At the LSIC meeting, we asked the kids what they would like. We had from bingo to a chocolate fountain that I'm working on, a candy machine. So I got in the dollar store dumpster and got a box and made this machine that they loved. That was on a surprise Friday. That is something we do at lunch. Like this one was snow cones. They love snow cones. We also do phone calls home. We just started this attendance chart last Friday. It's in our war room. So now the teachers, I'm going to update that weekly. You can go in and really see if your students are on this chart.
So as you can see, we have made improvement in math achievement and reading achievement. We've improved our attendance, and also we all feel that we have also created a positive culture and climate for our students. We're excited that we're not where we were last year, and we are proud of all of our accomplishments, and we are even more excited to try to shoot for our mission to do our best to be the best. Does anybody have any questions for us?
At least I know he's got a question.
You mentioned, did I hear 17% special ed?
Yes.
And is it the whole range of disabilities or
Yes.
just
Yes.
low achievement?
Whole range, yeah.
And you moved them how far again?
What do you mean? Like, it depends on the level.
From the
There's,
beginning of the year to now.
as far, in reading or math, or in math, let's pull that up again.
I'm sorry, I should have made that more clear.
No, you're fine. This is our students with disabilities. So you could see where they individually, this kind of shows the number that has grown. This is our 2 or more they were below, and so we want to decrease those, and now we actually have 1 student that is on level where they should be in mathematics, and several that have moved to 1 grade below, which is what we want, that continuous improvement to head towards grade level.
Yes,
So,
okay. And that's really what I wanted to know. Okay. And wonderful presentation, all your staff, well done.
thank you. They're pretty wonderful. So
They certainly
we're really blessed to have an awesome staff that really loves kids, and we're moving.
I just wanted to thank you all. You put in countless hours. And we know that you're school on school improvement, but I don't see you as a school on school improvement. I see you as a school that is exemplifying practices that we all need to be working on as a school system. Because you work together, you dig into student data, you know that if we don't have a child in school, they cannot learn. So you make them want to come to school, and I know you form those individual relationships with parents. I know Heather sometimes goes and gets the kids, it becomes really a teamwork, and you're holding each other mutually accountable. And I really wanted to just take another minute just to say thank you. You do a lot, you go above and beyond, and it's tough to work in schools and see lots of challenges, but you don't see those things as challenges. You just see it as another mountain to climb and conquer. So we really appreciate you.
Any other question? Thank you. Good presentation. Give me recess a moment. We're going to take about 10-minute recess at the most, in case you want to go home, or you can stay for the remainder of our meeting, or you're free to leave.
They do a lot of good work.
Do you want?
They do a lot of good work.
You
She
can
really
tell.
changed the school around.
Sometimes that's what it takes. It's just somebody new that interject. See ya. Good to see ya.
Yeah, she really turned that school around. We just need to. She spends her Fridays till midnight. She's in school, and we're like, "Do you want to go home?
That's what we tell
Finish your
you.
babies." No, I'm smarter than that.
Well, the thing is, when I did day report and home confinement and all that, I didn't have kids at home. But when I worked, 8:30 to 5, I was at 5 o'clock, I'm out of here, because I've got kids, I've got things to do. So a lot of the jobs that
culture.
Ms. Khan is going to do a presentation of the financial overview of current to budget trends and projections.
Before Ms. Khan starts, I emailed you the reason for it, and this is something in us working toward a more transparent communication about our finances. So you'll be getting this at the second meeting of the month. So this time she's just going to kind of give you a cheat sheet just to see what you're looking for. But I believe this will help you be more cognizant of the big trends and where we are in terms of like what we spent last year, where we are this year, are we spending less, more, where our monies lie. So we just wanted to kind of give this as a presentation, but she will have it for you every second meeting of the month, and she'll be able to answer your questions because we'll send that to you ahead of time as well.
Okay, so this is what the monthly financial report will look like every time. As she said, I will present this to you, or not present, but I will have it ready for you at the second board meeting each month. When you get your report, like this one, for example, I'm presenting it now in January. All the numbers here are good through the end of December. And so when you get February's report, those numbers will be good through the end of January. So when you receive the report, it's good through the end of the prior month. This report is really good. It shows you, if you want to go ahead and look at page 2 there, this is a summary of all of the funds we have. And you'll see here that it shows the amounts that we have budgeted at the beginning of the year. It's going to show all the revenues and expenditures across the funds. And then over on the far right, there's a comparison there where you can look at the prior year. Before I go any further into this report, I do have you a little cheat sheet here. I advise you to hold on to this and use it in the months to come as you get this report if you need to look back on it. And so I'm going to go through some of these abbreviations and definitions on this report and then do a brief overview of each fund as well. So first here, you're going to see MTD. And what that is that's month to date. That will be the period starting the beginning of the calendar month that the report is in, and it's going to go to the end of the month. So that's just the month to date expenditures, everything that has occurred in that month. If you see year to date, the current year to date is the period starting the beginning of the fiscal year, which is July 1st. And it's going to go through the end of the date of the report. So the report you have today, the current year to date is July 1st through December 31st. And then when you look at the prior year to date, it's the same time period except for the previous year. Yep. When you see beginning fund balance on the report there, that is any carryover balance that we've brought forward from the previous fiscal year. So when we do those carryovers in October, that's what we're doing. We are bringing those forward if we have any fund balance left, we bring those forward, and that's what you'll see there. And then when you see encumbrances, all that is it indicates open purchase orders. So any outstanding or purchase orders that are still open will show as an encumbrance.
So that will mean that we had money allocated, so they're just kind of hanging there. They have not been spent, but we just said that we have this projected to be spent. So they're just like hanging there.
Okay, now I'm just going to do a brief overview of what each fund is. That's also in the little cheat sheet here. That way if you need to look and see what fund is what. Of course, Fund 11, that's our general current expense fund. That is the operating fund that we use for most everything, all revenues and expenditures, except those that are accounted for through another fund or grant are accounted for in Fund 11. Fund 41 is the Permanent Improvement Fund, and this accounts for the accumulation of resources and expenditures for capital improvement activities. The proceeds of Fund 41 must be used only for the support of building and capital improvement projects. The revenue source for Fund 41 is a transfer from the general fund. So any money that's in 41 is there because we have transferred it from the general fund 11 to 41. That's not done very often, but that's where the revenue comes from. And then once you put money into Fund 41, if you transfer it from Fund 11 to 41, it stays there. You can't transfer that back out. It has to be used for whatever it was transferred there for.
So that's why we have to be really cognizant, like if we have a project and we know that we have to spend money for a specific, school project, then we know to transfer it, because once it's there, we cannot do anything with it.
Okay, next is Fund 51, that's our capital projects fund. And when we have construction going on, such as the new elementary across the road, any current construction going on, you will see in the capital projects fund. The revenue sources for capital projects also come from Fund 11, and then any SBA reimbursements that we receive. Next is our Fund 61, which is called Special Revenue Fund. And this is where all of our state and federal grants are housed. So anything you see in Fund 61 is grant funded. Of course, we are legally restricted to expend these grants for specific purposes as they are lined out in the grants. The expenditures are based upon the approved budget when the grant is rewarded. And again, these are state and federal grants, and sometimes local if we get them. Next is Fund 71. You won't see any activity here as we are done with the federal stimulus money. However, it's still going to show up on the report for a while, but you won't see any activity going on over there. Okay, now that we've kind of overviewed those, I want to jump into explaining the report. Page 2 of the report, well, the cover sheet and then the next page, page 2, that is a summary. Again, that's going to show all of your funds and a summary of the revenues and expenditures. The revenues are on top, the expenditures on the bottom. And then every one of these sheets look the same all the way through, so I have tabbed them for you on what each fund is. So if you want to turn over to page 3, this is where I'll spend the most time explaining, because this is our general expense fund. As you can see on the bottom, total revenues, the current budgeted amount of revenues is $60.6 million. That's what we budgeted as our anticipated revenue amount for this year. So far, if you look at the year-to-date revenues, we have collected $13.8 million of that 60 that we budgeted for. So we're about halfway into the year. And when you compare what has been budgeted to what we have collected, that's why the remaining balance of the budget there is showing negative $46 million, because we've not collected all that we have budgeted for yet. So, go ahead.
Excuse me, parentheses would be negative.
Yes, if you see parentheses, that's a negative number. And so I wanted to make sure you all understood why we have a big negative $46 million there. It's because we've not collected a year's worth of funding yet. If you want to look at kind of where we are with our tax collections, on the prior year, year to date, last year at the end of December, we had collected $6 million. This year, at the end of December, we've collected $6.5 million. So this year, we've collected about $500,000 more at this point. And so that kind of shows you how to compare what we have now compared to what we had last year. Okay, that's the revenue page. Now, when you come over to page 4, this is where you get into your expenditures. And of course, you all know salaries, benefits, those take up about 80% of our budget every year. That's our largest expenditure. And when you look at that top line there, it says 78.98% of the budget obligated. That's right in line with what we budget every year. Another thing I want to point out, about halfway down the page under employee benefits, you're going to see retirement. And when you come over, we've budgeted $4.6 million for retirement last year. We've only spent $412,000 of that, so we still have $3.4 million sitting there that we've budgeted for retirement. A lot of that should be used, but if it's not, you know, we can use that elsewhere if we need to once we take another look closer to the end of the year. But on these expenditures, it's a few pages here. You have salaries, advertising, tuition, travel, supplies, just everything you can imagine that would be an expenditure. So you can see here what we've budgeted for those, what's been spent this year, and what's remaining in our budget for those items. Okay, now if you want to go over to page 6, this is the final page for the general expense fund. You can see here that the total revenue from July to now is $10 million, or no, sorry, the total revenue, that would be on the revenue page, from July to now is $13.8 million, and the total expenditures that you see here is $10.8 million. So we definitely have a lot more revenue coming in than expenditures going out. So our general expense fund is very healthy. Any questions on that? Yes.
Come back to page 4, the very bottom, you have technical. Could you explain technical?
Okay. You just want an explanation of what that might be?
Please.
Okay, so that could be any technical services from employee, student, hardware, software, any technical services that we have to either contract out or they might even be done in-house, just anything that we spend on technical services or repair.
A large negative number there, could you?
Oh, yes. So we budgeted $65,000 for technical, and so far we have spent $27,000.
So
Encumbrance.
So the other money's
Larger.
yet to come in.
Yeah, so then you have to account for the encumbrance there, $150,000, and so that's putting it under by $112,000. So at some point, we will have to look and find somewhere to transfer to make that flush. We'll have to pull it from another line item that we've not spent much from, kind of like the $3.5 million we just kind of had sitting there on the retirement.
So these are usually the services that we purchase, like SCSC, so we have our tech people that we hire through SCSC.
So tech is technology.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
technical.
Yeah.
That's kind of weird, that's why I asked.
It's, sometimes Weavers does what Weavers does, so we,
Okay.
but yeah, this is usually the, yeah, because it's under purchase professional technical services, so it's usually your techs, reset techs, like we called them before, so.
Thank you.
The mentors too, yeah.
Okay, any more questions on Fund 11? Okay, if you want to go over to page 7, that's Fund 41. You can see we had a budget of 1.4 million there, remaining balance 1.4 million. We've not touched that this year. Fund 51, again, that is all construction from Caulfield Elementary that you'll see there.
Page 9.
And then starting on page 11 is Fund 61. Again, that's all of our state and federal grants there. And just one thing to keep in mind on Fund 61, those federal grants, we don't actually get the revenue for those up front. We have to expend the funds and then submit for a drawdown, which is a reimbursement, and then that's when we get the money. So a lot of times those may show up as negative revenue because of that, because we hadn't actually got the money yet. And then the same thing for state aid, it's on a schedule. And so we budget for what we know we're gonna get, but we don't get it all at once. We get that in increments.
And Ms. Khan she has a schedule because she knows, okay, we spend this much for exceptional learners by the way, like we just got the grant, so she will know to draw down a certain amount so that she can replenish our coffers that we have used up on certain services. So it's cumbersome sometimes, but they come at a certain schedule, and then we have to watch how much we spend so that we can keep on reimbursing ourselves, so to say, so that our checks don't bounce, right?
So any questions on Fund 61? And then 71, again, you're not going to see any activity there, but it's going to be a part of the report for a while. As you get these will come to you just like the bills that we send for approval, so you'll have time to look at these before each board meeting. So any questions that you have on this report going forward, you can just let me know, and I'll answer the best I can.
So, and again, as I said, we will have that to you ahead of time. So, like today, it was just, you were given the report, given some explanations. You will have time to peruse and see if you have some questions or if you don't understand where specific expenditure or revenue is coming from. We are trying to help you see where we are because our personnel now budgeting season is coming. You all know how many students we have lost, so we'll be sitting down and looking at our projected numbers. The state has shared some of the projected numbers for us to look at. But this is just something for you to see that this is where we are, this is what we spent, and we always try to be vigilant of the county money. And I also wanted to say, when you look at Fund 11, you have the county money, but also the Step 7 formula from the state comes right into under Fund 11. So it kind of becomes a little cumbersome, because you might ask, like, we are seeing more expenditures. Why are we seeing some expenditures from the county? Where it really, when Ms. Khan starts digging, it's just your Step 7, A, B, C, or D, which comes right under that Fund 11. And we do spend a lot out of those. We spend those before we spend the county monies, but it will go under Account 11. But if you have questions, even after this, please contact Ms. Khan. She will go over those with you, pull some further reports, and answer your questions.
And if I'm jumping there, don't forget that where we are with our monies is because of the 18 million we have in ESSER and ARP. So we were able to save for a couple of years there instead of expending money, if that makes sense. So,
I'm sorry, would you
so
say where
with
it came
ESSER
from
and
again?
ARP money, we were able to do projects and pay for things that allowed us to save money in the county money.
Okay, you said
So in
ARP.
that Fund 11, yeah.
ARP.
So ARP, so that 18 million, we didn't touch Fund 11 for a couple of years there. We were just stocking and trying to save money. So that's something too for us to think about financially, is that we've not been expending that, but now we're gonna have to start that.
So, and we still, of course, we are cognizant of the fact that, yeah, we have this money, but you have a school that we are still finishing up that is, county committed several millions of dollars to finishing that school. We have CTC that we are going to start moving into Fall River, and it will be a multi-million-dollar endeavor, and we'll have to go to SBA to ask for funding. So all of these projects, in addition to those day-to-day expenditures that we have to have, you know, we are trying to make sure that we are cognizant of the funding we have, but we are not going just to go on a shopping spree, you know, because we have to make sure we remain in that good financial standing. But yeah, we were able to save quite a bit due to ARP being able to cover some of that.
Okay. The next item on the agenda is the personnel agenda. If you look at it, we have the addition that's not on the sheet that's on here. The one is the employment of personnel, professional personnel, and the extracurricular professional personnel, and employment of coaching personnel, transfer service personnel, employment of extracurricular service personnel. And at this time, we entertain a motion to accept. Motion by Ms. Beavers. Second by Mr. Rippeth. Do you have any questions concerning the professional personnel?
Number 2, what is a restricted substitute team?
That's the ones you can only substitute for 10 days in any position continuously. So these are subs that have an associate's degree or at least 60 credit hours.
I got you. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay. Any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. No, an abstention, absent probably. The next item is volunteer agenda. We have a motion. Do we have a volunteer? We don't have volunteer.
We don't have volunteer agenda.
Okay, the next item is finance, allowing authorization payment of bills and budget revisions. Invoices presented for payment are available in the finance office during normal business hours. Do we have motion by Mr. Rippeth? Second by Ms. Beavers. Do you have any questions? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. No, and one absent. Approval of budget supplements and transfers.
I'll second that.
Motion by Ms. Beaver, second by Mr. Evans. Do you have questions about that? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Approval of authorization of school fundraiser events. We have Mount View High School varsity cheerleaders, the Goodwill donation trailer. Do we have a motion to approve that?
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Beavers, second by Mr. Evans. Do you have any questions concerning that? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Next is the action items, approval of temporary construction easement. Make a motion by Mr. Rippeth. Second by Ms. Beavers. You need,
Question. As I read through that, I wasn't sure exactly where this easement is.
They're going to do the work on the bridge by Southside, so they were going to take some of our land by that bridge to put some temporary bridge, and that they had to have that as a right of way.
So this is a temporary
Mhm.
easement. We're not
And
doing
then,
it.
no, it will go back to us once the project is over.
Didn't understand what it was.
Yeah.
okay. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? One absent. We'll do 2 and 3 together as the final approval of revised policy 8-058, substitutes in areas of critical need and shortages. And number 3, final approval of revised policy 8-059, substitute bus drivers in areas of critical need and shortages.
There are no comments.
There were no comments on those. Do we have a motion to approve 2 and 3? Motion by Mr. Ripa, second by Ms. Beavers. Do you have any questions?
We've included number 5, correct?
Not
Or
yet.
did not?
No,
Okay.
just 2 or 3.
Just the 2 and 3. Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. The next one is approval to place revised policy 8-025, personal leave donation policy up for comment.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Beavers. Mr. Evans did a second. Okay, any questions? Hearing none, everybody signify by saying aye. Approve. Approval and place revised policy 8-024, personal leave bank policy up for comment. It's number 5.
So moved.
Ms. Beavers made a motion,
Second.
second by Mr. Evans. You have any questions?
Yes, ma'am. In reading the policy and the changes, there were a minimum of 100 that have to sign up for that.
Mhm.
What way do we keep track of that one, up to 100?
I
And
would-
where are we now? Or?
I would have to review with Ms. Mullins because she's the one who works on this, on a donation bank policy. So historically, we just haven't had enough people to sign up.
Well, that's my
Okay.
question. How many professional people, how many do we have that would?
181, I think.
Okay, so almost half would have to agree to that.
Mhm.
And has that been, I can't remember if that was marked through or not. Has that been the standard 100 based upon our number of people? So should that not come
And that-
down in some degree?
And that's something that we will put on comment, and if people say that we would like to have less. But historically, because we have personal leave donation policy, so people are allowed to donate to each other. But what we see, usually people don't want to be up in a bank because if you have somebody who is using up all their days, I don't want to give my days because somebody is just banking on that. So that was the prevalent feedback. They just don't want to, because they have that right to donate days. Like if you are sick and you have no days and I say, Ed, I will donate some days for you. We have that in place. So like people are not detracted from not using days if needed. It just, lots of times people just don't want to sign up because they say, well, somebody is in a bank and I don't have a say who I give the days to. But we can definitely, through the comment process, we can definitely look at the different days.
Yeah, I think that 100 versus 181 employees is a pretty high number to have
Yeah.
Into that when it's certainly a needed thing with illnesses and whatnot. So
Yeah.
I'd like to see that number reduced. Okay.
We'll just, I'll email the principals that the policy is up, so they share that with teachers, so they absolutely, we go through the comment period.
Thank you.
Okay, call for a vote. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. No, and one absent. And the next one will take 6 and 7 and 8. It's approval of student trip request Career and Technology Center. The number 7 to Concord College, Riverview High School. And the approval of student trip to Mellons Middle School for Mountain View Middle, grades 6 through 8, basketball and girls basketball. Do I have a motion to approve the 6, 7, and 8? Motion by Larkin, second by Ms. Beavers. Any questions, comments? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. And then next one on the agenda is approval to place existing policy 11-027 for repeal up for comment, and number 10, approval to place new policy 11-027, attendance to replace existing policy 11-027 up for comment. And that would have a motion to do these together. Motion by Mr. Evans, second by Ms. Beavers. Any questions, comments? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. And next item on the agenda is the superintendent updates.
So I keep a chart of days that we take for snow days. So I just wanted to give you the most updated chart. So as of today, we have used up all of our equivalent time days. We had 5 equivalent time days that we could use. So you see the days that we have taken them up for. We started early because we had the flooding in September. So far we have used up the day on the 9th, January 9th, so our OSC day, that's at the end of May. May 30th is already taken. So our students are going, their last day was supposed to be May 29th, now their last day, as of now, is May 30th. So far we have used 2 non-instructional days. So I keep that chart because we have to, make sure that we keep accountable for ourselves and for the State Department in terms of the days used. And of course, there are some like highlighted in orange that we already used them up because it's just regular faculty Senate days, and then we had the OSC day, the second, it's Friday after Thanksgiving. So those are already used up. So the next days, if we take any snow days, will be June 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and it will just go on. Hopefully, we will not have to get into it, but with the weather that has been going on these days, it's hopefully we'll stay and we will not lose instructional time. This said, maybe if you have watched, like on Facebook, we had Mercer County and Nicholas County, they have created a plan for snow routes. So their buses just go on specific routes because there are some side roads that might be clear, but they might not be cleared all the way for them to turn around. So they just remain on their main roads pretty much. So we talked to Mr. Griggle, we're going to create a plan like this as well because that will help us to get students to school. And of course, if they cannot get to those designated stops, then, they also can send a note to school and that will be counted as a bus excuse because the bus did not run. But we need to organize some of that just so that we are able to get kids to school safely, but we don't jeopardize the safety of our students and our bus drivers. So we are going to be working on that. Mercer County is sending me their plan so that we can just kind of see how they're doing it, and the bus drivers, they will be working with Mr. Griggle to adjust times, create a specific schedule so that we can get that. In terms of absence notes, we have been working with Mr. Norris. We are actually going to, and several counties have done it, we are going to be putting a template on Droplet, and you've used Droplet for your out-of-county forms. So we have created a form where a parent, if their child missed school, they can go online, they can submit their note for the absence. Like if the bus did not run, they can say bus 191 did not run. So hopefully that will help us get those absences in a maybe more efficient way, because sometimes that's what people have to do. They have to just hunt those absences down. They'll still have a way to get the excuses to school if they need to, but they'll be able to attach the excuse. We're just trying to make sure the parents have those tools if needs to be. Because sometimes I think they just don't get to, or if you had kids and put something in a backpack, sometimes it does not make it to school. So we're trying to give as many avenues as we can to the parents. So we are in the midst of the social studies and pre-K instructional resources adoption. So we have got the team together. So they're going to be a caravan in Charleston. They have changed things around. It's only in 2 locations, and after that we'll get back and we will work with our teachers to review the curriculum, share it with the teachers in their schools, and just so you will see it. I think it will be your second meeting in April that you will have to approve their suggestions for the textbook adoption, because we have to get that done by May 1st. Our IRA diagnostic started well in December. Then we just, hopefully this week we will have school and they will be able to finish the second diagnostic, because the end is January 17th. We have moved our finals. The students in high schools, they had their finals. They're having their finals this week instead of last week. So we moved the end of the semester to this Friday as well, but the report cards will come out at the same regular time. So we had to account for the lost instructional days. Let me see. We are going to be posting, we have checked with our legal, and for us to for Ms. Tanya White to have a more or less sane personnel season, they said that we can post positions for Caulfield Elementary early on. So that will hopefully eliminate some of the anxiety that people have when they face the personnel season. So we have been working for a couple of weeks to look at the number of students, the number of teachers we'll need to have, special education teachers, Title I, so that we can post, and it will be tomorrow, Wednesday, so that we can get that staffing lined out, so that people don't have, I know everybody goes into this season with a lot of anxiety, so we're trying to eliminate as much as we can. So you will see that posting coming up. Our teachers participated in a call today. We got a call from, let's say, Children's Health Council. I don't know if Mr. Hardy, if you were able to get on that call, but they wanted to use a pilot with, they have created an AI tool, and that just scours only the reputable sources, but the teacher can log in, it's their account, and they can just type up the situation to see what AI would suggest, like if they have a behavior issue or a student is facing a mental health issue. And the AI, based on scouring all these reputable sources, would be able to create a plan for the teacher. So we're just trying to see how AI can be used in a more productive way, and kind of help our teachers to have a little bit more of the support. So we had several hop on the call today, and it's FERPA compliant. They don't want teachers to share any identifiable information, so hopefully it will help our teachers to have a little bit more of the tools in their toolbox. Plus it will help them see how AI can be used for good purposes, because a lot of teachers are scared. As you have heard from Jaeger's presentation, they were one of the 2 schools, so it was them in Jefferson County that were invited to be a pilot for instructional rounds. So they went to Harvard, had a week of trainings, and they will be starting that in March, as Ms. Roberts said. So Ms. Payton, Ms. Kahn, and I are working with an organization that we will be applying for a safety grant. As you know, our state, West Virginia State Department gives us a lot of money for different purposes, but safety is not one of those monies that we see as abundant. So we are going to try and get, and it's a grant for $500,000 that we're going to try to get some upgrades for our schools in terms of cameras, the door access, all those things that cost at least $500,000, but we don't want to take it out of the county coffers. So we'll be working with them, with that organization, to get that grant grant from the federal department. And the state also issued a grant, and it's for up to $50,000, and we'll be applying for that just for different safety initiatives. I think that's pretty much it. It was a lot, but what's happening, even though the school was not really in session. But again, when we look at the weather, like today, we don't know what we'll do, but we try to inform people as soon as we can, and of course, we will not put the staff and students in jeopardy. Any questions for me?
Okay, next item on the agenda is announcement of future meetings. It's January the 21st, 2025. And at this time, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion by Ms. Beavers. Second.
Oh, second, sorry.
Second by Mr. Evans. All in favor? Say aye. Aye.